This enemy, they don't wear a uniform. They're moving fentanyl by the truckload.
I want you to look at the contraband that's in front of me. We have 20 kilograms of fentanyl that's in front of me on this table. That's enough to kill 10 million people. The work that we do is to protect people and make sure that we remove these weapons and drugs off of our streets and hold those criminals accountable who would go forward and continue to use that to harm individuals.
Cartels are now officially in the Pentagon's crosshairs. And it's not just the wall anymore. Trump ordered the kill shot. The days of local drug busts and random motels, they were fun, but that's Breaking Bad stuff. Trump wants to take the fight to El Chapo's front yard.
We're talking about sending military forces to fight against the drug cartels in Latin America. Do you think it's worth sending our forces, our U.S. forces there to take this on?
Cartels where?
Central Latin America.
Well, Latin America's got a lot of cartels. They've got a lot of drugs flowing. So, we want to protect our country. We have to protect our country. We haven't been doing it for 4 years. And we love this country like they love their countries.
Uh-huh.
Did you get your screwdriver?
Shit.
Don't you got your drill just in case? Are you turning back around?
Yeah, you gonna meet me?
Yeah. Guess you didn't hear me calling you. I was calling you to tell you.
I ain't woke up yet. I'm still asleep. I'm just getting where I need to go.
So, we're playing a tough game.
According to the New York Times, behind the scenes, Trump's moving all the pieces into place to pull this off. Mexico's got a big problema.
Yes, but it has nothing to do with Mexican territory. It has to do with their country. It does not involve our territory.
So it would be within the United States?
Within the United States, exactly.
El Presidente doesn't comprehende. This isn't a Mexican standoff, this is an order. The CIA is already flying surveillance drones over Mexican territory, gathering intel on the battle space. And Trump's not sending diplomats. He's sending Hegseth, maybe with a new title.
Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, Department of Defense, Department of War.
Well, that's what it was for many, many years. You gave me that knife hand, Will. We'll see. Stand by. I don't get in front of the commander-in-chief on that. But our job is to ensure our enemies know exactly what they will do to them if they threaten us, up to and including total war. So we'll be prepared. Stand by. There might be some news on that.
This is about protecting the homeland from groups like the Sinaloa cartel. They import fentanyl from China and traffic it into the United States. Look at that. Trump designated them terrorists. And if they get cute, they're getting Soleimani'd.
You know who did the roadside bomb, right? Soleimani. Where is he? Where is he? Where's Soleimani?
Former U.S. Army Special Forces and president of WorldStrat, Jim Hansen. Jim, what kind of operations do you envision happening in Central and South America in this cartel war?
Jesse, I don't think anybody would be more thrilled than me to watch some helmet cam footage of a bunch of JSOC pipe hitters rappelling out of helicopters and stacking cartel members like cordwood. Now, that's the ultimate. I don't know that we'll probably open with that. You know, there's likely to be a lot of increased surveillance. There may be some raids to pick up some people to arrest and put on trial. There'll be some interdiction off the coasts. The Navy can cover a lot more territory than the Coast Guard can, and together they can cover both the exfil from, Central and South America and the infill to us. So there's a lot of things to start with, but this is a tremendous step they're taking.
All right, so they could seize some guys off the field and bring them here and put them on trial. Could they also just drone strike these cartel bad guys right in their backyard?
That's a lawyer question, but I'm going to give you the common sense answer. If their cartels are killing people in the United States, and the MS-13 and Tren de Aragua gangs are, why can't we kill their leaders just the same way President Trump pointed out we took care of Soleimani?
That would be an imminent threat, right? I mean, if these guys are cooking up all this fentanyl and sending it into the cities and people are acting like zombies and keeling over, that's an imminent threat to the life and well-being of the American citizenry.
Absolutely. And I think the rationale we use for other terrorists we've killed through multiple administrations, Barack Obama still, I think, holds the record for the number of people killed overseas by drone strikes, including one U.S. citizen. So I think President Trump deciding that these guys who are definitely killing Americans with drugs, torturing and running people with human trafficking and child trafficking, those are things that I think all of America can look at and say, we don't need to allow that. And anything we do to them is probably justified at this point.
Now, the Mexican president, she's played nice so far on trade, but it's a big no bueno, she says, if we start launching direct action into her territory. It's not even really her territory. I guess technically it is, but the cartels control almost that entire country. What does that do to Mexico?
Yeah, I mean, that is not her decision. She's the one who runs a country that allows that to happen. So if she wants to go ahead and try and tell President Trump, we can't do that, we're going to do what we need to, and she's going to go ahead and face the consequences. That's something they've allowed for far too long.
All right. Well, it looks like that time's up. Jim Hansen, good to talk to you.
Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin has the story from the Pentagon this evening.
The U.S. military is building the largest federal deportation detention center in America's history. The construction of Camp East Montana at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, began mid-July in response to a request from Homeland Security. Pentagon Press Secretary Kingsley Wilson defended the use of the military base to initially detain 1,000 migrants awaiting deportation.
Once DoD achieves initial stand-up, we will finish construction for up to 5,000 beds in the weeks and months ahead. Upon completion, this will be the largest federal detention center in history for this critical mission, the deportation of illegal aliens.
So far, the Army has spent $232 million on the tent city at Fort Bliss. The U.S. Army oversees the $1.24 billion contract for the 5,000-bed ICE facility, and last month awarded the contract to build the facility to Acquisition Logistics, a Virginia-based company. In January, President Trump announced migrants would be sent to Guantanamo Bay, where Defense Secretary Hegseth promised the Marines could build a 30,000-bed facility. Those plans were halted when ICE standards were not being met for housing migrants. Construction ended after just 175 tents were stood up. Quote, there are currently 33 high-threat illegal aliens and 8 low-threat illegal aliens at Naval Station Guantanamo Bay. To date, 690 illegal aliens have been processed through Naval Station Guantanamo Bay. There is no new information on the status of the tent infrastructure. The White House would neither confirm nor deny a New York Times exclusive report that President Trump secretly signed an order allowing the U.S. military to pursue known drug cartels, which the administration has labeled terrorist organizations, raising concerns that the U.S. military could begin operating in Mexico and Venezuela. Brett?
Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. Jennifer, thank you. Up next, sentencing.
He's sworn in
as an ICE agent. He joins us now. Dean, great to have you on the show, as always. It's fascinating because I have to play this. You were the topic on CNN last night, right? You had him kind of back and forth going over there. And, of course, the liberal had to take a swipe at you. I want to play this, and I'll get your response on the other side. Watch.
Having someone like that out touting it, talking about, hey, this is a thing you can do for your government. This is public service. It's going to help them recruit, and they have a bunch of people to recruit.
Scott, it's not 95. Nobody gives a Sam hell what Dean Cain
You
does.
may not. But you don't. But in the conservative community,
Dean ain't worked in a while. Dean needs the 50,000. That's what got Dean off the couch.
I mean, I laugh because I was sitting there thinking, come on, Dean Cain, these guys have no idea that you're a reserve police officer in Idaho. You're a sheriff's deputy. You've been in law enforcement for a very long time, Dean, and you don't need the 50K because only in their world have you not been working. What's your thought on that?
I think it's funny. They just resort to ad hominem attacks, try to make personal attacks when I'm trying to help support the safety of Americans and our brave men and women of ICE. It's funny to me because I get it on the internet, get all that craziness. Scott Jennings is a national treasure. Love him to death. And he does such a great job dismantling those guys. I mean, like, I'm not getting the 50,000, whoever that guy was. I don't need money. I'm working my tail off. I just finished directing literally 3 days ago another film. I've got one on angel.com that's top 10. It's current right now. I've got 3 more to shoot this year. That's ridiculous. But they'll do anything they can to tear down people who are trying to do the right thing for Americans. I mean, look at those 3 guys who just got busted. Those people do not belong here. They are criminals. 70% of all the arrests that ICE is doing right now are for convicted criminals, or they have pending charges. It's not even a question. So I'm trying to step up and say, look, like you had on just a minute ago, that poor woman, Holly, who stepped up in Cincinnati and said, look, this is wrong. Wait a minute, stop. Daniel Penny stepping up and doing the right thing. The Good Samaritans trying to step up and say, look, I'm here to support Americans and safety for everybody. Black, white, green, yellow, blue, red, it doesn't matter. Right. There are people here who shouldn't be here. There are criminals that shouldn't be here. They were let in by the last administration. And I'm saying, leave these ICE agents alone. They're not the Gestapo. They're doing a job that Congress has written the rules for, and God bless them, so I'll stand up with them. I'll be that Good Samaritan. Yeah. If it gets people recruited into ICE, God bless it, I'm happy to do so.
And we mentioned this, that, listen, there were 10,000 ICE agents they wanted to hire. They got 50,001, sorry, Dean, applications.
80,000.
Because that's 80,001 applications for these 10,000 jobs. I think it's phenomenal. But the same people who are ridiculing you on CNN are the same people who are in favor of the criminals being set free in America.
It's madness, and I was talking to some of my more liberal friends yesterday who stepped up, and I talk to people all over the spectrum. I'm not just in an echo chamber. And my more liberal friends said, "Hey man, what are you doing here? What's the story?" And they said, honestly, it happened to them. They hadn't been around it. They'd heard about it. It didn't affect their lives, so they could stand on their soapbox for as long as they wanted to say this just seems wrong, until it was a criminal group of gangs who were robbing houses near them, and all of a sudden it was very, very real. And what do? They pick up the phone, they call 911, get law enforcement, they want ICE involved. Now they love them. And that's a common theme that I see throughout. So shame on them for protecting the criminals. Criminal activity is criminal activity, and we have laws for a reason in this country.
Yeah, listen, and when your movies come out, you come on Fox News at night, we promote them, and our audience loves it. They're always highly rated, and so we know exactly what's going on. Dean Cain, good for you. Congratulations. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Trace.
Jonathan Fahey, former acting ICE director and former DHS Deputy Assistant Secretary. Jonathan, great to have you on the show. I want to play some sound here from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. He said this about targeting cartels as terrorists.
Their behavior is going to have to change one way or another, but it allows us to now target what they're operating and to use other elements of American power, intelligence agencies, the Department of Defense, whatever, to target these groups if we have an opportunity to do it. We have to start treating them as armed terrorist organizations, not simply drug dealing organizations.
I mean, I think it's a proper assessment. I don't know what you think about this, Jonathan, but it's interesting because these cartels are no longer just providing these illegal products by the thousands of pounds. They're killing thousands of Americans.
You're exactly right. And if you think about it, just during the Biden administration, 400,000 people died of overdose deaths just in that 4-year term. And as we know, there was just a complete dereliction of duty on the border, as well as taking it to their cartels. And just for some context, that's 100,000 more than during the first Trump administration. So a massive increase. We need to take it to them because, yeah, people are dying, and President Trump isn't going to just stand by and just say, oh, this is now the status quo. 100,000 Americans a year are going to die of overdose. This is unacceptable. He's going to take it to them. And there's another benefit to this. By even talking about this, the messaging is so strong on this. This will inspire cooperation from all these countries where we may be acting in. So all of these will be a good thing, and we'll track this at the end of the year where these overdose deaths go.
And I'm interested in when you get pushback on this, because the upside is enormous on this, and the downside is also enormous. I mean, if you don't do this and you continue to let tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Americans die, I mean, this is something that there is a fix to. At least there's somewhat of a remedy to this if we go forward.
Yeah, exactly. And it's almost like we've had 4 years where we weren't even trying to do something during the Biden administration. Yeah, it's not acceptable because 100,000 people a year dying. Those people, their families, their communities, everyone in this country is affected by this. So it's time to take it to these cartels, and their good days are over. They had their heyday under the Biden administration, but the game is up, and the Trump administration's going after them. And I think this is very effective, not only substantively, but I think the messaging is quite clear on this.
Meantime, let's bring the subject back to some action by federal agents in this country. Here's DHS Secretary Kristi Noem.
The debate over so-called sanctuary policies has real consequences. It has consequences for our law enforcement officers, but also for the families that live here and the businesses that are just trying to provide for their community. Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson are answering that question every single day of who should be our priority, who should be our responsibility, and over again, they're choosing criminals.
Pritzker and Johnson are just two names. You add Newsom to that. You add Karen Bass to that. You've got, I mean, the list goes on, Jonathan. It's one of those things where, they're siding with criminals and it's being normalized.
You're exactly right. And if you think about it, one of the most powerful constituencies in the Democratic Party right now seems to be illegal aliens and illegal alien criminals. It's truly astonishing that they would fight so hard to keep criminals in this country. And remember, they don't just affect the communities of the sanctuary cities. Remember, Laken Riley was arrested in New York. So if there was, enforcement back then, she'd still be alive. Her killer was arrested up in New York, sanctuary city. So these affect all of us, and it's so shameful that the Democrats can't even agree to kick out serious violent criminals because they think it's more politically viable to fight Donald Trump as well as to bring in as many illegal aliens as possible. It's a true disgrace if you think about it.
Yeah. Jonathan Fahey, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here to discuss is Art Del Cueto, National Border Patrol Council Vice President. Art, thank you for joining us. So at this point, it is just a report, but how significant would it be if President Trump allowed the military to go after some of these drug cartels?
Look, once again, President Trump continues to show his commitment towards the American public. This is what people voted for, right? At the same time, you're seeing on the other side, you're seeing the true colors of groups of individuals that, they keep putting roadblocks, and their commitment seems to be to defend criminals. And now you have an administration, finally, that their commitment is to the American public and to the future of this country. It would be very significant, but it shows more than anything that President Trump is willing to, expand and move into other areas and make sure that he looks at every single angle to make sure that the American public is safe.
Yeah, and obviously willing to address the problem from outside the box and try new things that nobody else is, which is remarkable considering we've been told for decades that it was impossible to secure the border. I want you to listen to something that Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, had to say yesterday about reports about using the military.
Their behavior is going to have to change one way or another, but it allows us to now target what they're operating and to use other elements of American power, intelligence agencies, the Department of Defense, whatever, to target these groups if we have an opportunity to do it. We have to start treating them as armed terrorist organizations, not simply drug dealing organizations.
It really is that faceted approach and outside the box thinking that has gotten us to where we at least have a secure border.
Absolutely. Look, you have groups of individuals in these cartels. It's been documented. They work in 168 different countries. Think about that. 168 different countries. And they continue to, cause chaos without, severe consequences. They're continuing to cause chaos in their own country. Those that are operating in Mexico without, enough consequences. And who's suffering? It's the American public that's suffering. It's the border issues that are suffering. It's people in Mexico that are suffering. Frankly, the world is actually suffering. President Trump is coming in, and he's not just making sure that Americans are secure, he's making sure the world is secure because no one has stopped these cartels.
Meanwhile, Democrats only care about cheap labor. Watch this.
The vast majority of people being arrested, being detained, being deported are the same people that so many families trust to care for our children, trust to care for aging parents. They're the people who are preparing and serving meals in restaurants, that are picking the fruit and vegetables and packaging the meat in factories that we depend on to put food at the table at home.
Real quick, Democrats are not even hiding what their motivation is here.
It isn't. They care about cheap labor. I've always said it. This is a modern form of slavery. And frankly, look, as a Hispanic myself, I find it kind of racist for them to think that, Hispanics and people come into this country just so they can do those types of jobs themselves.
Beautifully said. Art, thank you.
The Trump administration is demanding the state of Colorado turn over an alleged killer and member of Tren de Aragua who entered the U.S. illegally under the Biden administration. The White House wants to deport him back to Venezuela. The Aurora, Colorado police chief says this illegal immigrant shot his victims in front of 5 children before ICE and Homeland Security investigations captured him. Investigators say the suspect forced his way into the Colorado apartment this past weekend after a domestic dispute. His wife and sister-in-law were trying to hide in the bathroom with the children when the suspect allegedly critically wounded his wife before killing his sister-in-law. Police say he then fled the scene in this car. The Aurora police chief praising the cooperation between his agency and federal law enforcement who helped locate and arrest this dangerous suspect.
Our aspects on this and the conclusion of what occurred here today, again, it came in a large part based upon our relationship and affiliation with agencies outside of local government. It came with the support and the help of HSI and ICE. We were able to ask them questions specifically about who or what they think this suspect is. They, without question and unhesitatingly, without any due regard to themselves, supplied us with information that was integral to the apprehension of this suspect.
DHS releasing this statement, putting the city of Aurora on blast. Quote, Aurora, Colorado, a sanctuary city, has given cover to Tren de Aragua gang members to terrorize our communities. The brave men and women of ICE will be relentless in their effort to ensure Tren de Aragua terrorists are removed from our country for good. Alicia, you live in Colorado. I know you covered this story. Give us the local response to this. What have you learned about this entire situation?
Well, this was quite terrifying. Some of the details that we learned from Todd Chamberlain, the police chief for APD, are really striking because this suspect apparently was high on cocaine. They had a domestic dispute. He tried to force himself back into the apartment. There was a 15-year-old trying to block the door, and he pushed his way through. Then his wife and sister-in-law grabbed 5 children and tried to hide in the bathroom, and he shot both women on the way in front of those 5 children, killing his sister-in-law and his wife right now, critically injured in the hospital. It has been terrifying. And as you know, Tren de Aragua has really terrorized the city of Aurora and to a broader scope, the United States. However, I will say, in response to the police chief here in Aurora, he's been there less than a year. He got there last September. He was not there when TDA was really doing that takeover that we saw, and he came in and really took the reins in terms of action and communication with the community, and he's been doing his best. Like he said right there, he doesn't care how popular it is with the local political community. He said at this news conference that if he did not have that partnership with the federal government, with HSI and ICE, it would have hindered his investigation. ICE gave him a picture of the suspect. He was able to help. Colorado is a sanctuary state. There is a carve out, though, when it comes to criminal activity.
These are the people, Emily, that we want to get out of this country.
Correct.
Right? Listen to what Kristi Noem had to say last hour. We have some sound from her.
Today I'm highlighting 4 different examples of individuals that we've recently arrested here out of this office with the good work of ICE and our HSI officers that we've taken off the streets without the help of the governor or the mayor. Our federal officers have had to do this alone without their support, and these dangerous individuals are now no longer victimizing people because of the good work that we do.
Thank goodness we have DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Thank goodness we have President Trump, Emily, doing the job that he's doing to get these people out. But you see the protests against our ICE officers. They are pro keeping these sort of criminals, these monsters, here in this country.
And while these agents are selflessly serving, putting their lives on the line in the midst of these violent protests and obstructions, assaults against them up 1,000%. And then here's what I find so deeply disheartening about these groups that purport to protect, obviously, just the criminals, is that when you talk about that carve out for criminal behavior, you talk about the correlation, the collaboration between the federal agencies and local. That's exactly how crimes are solved. So let's take it out of this conversation for a moment. For example, there in the Moscow horrific University of Idaho shootings, right? Every horrific thing we see, there's usually a symbiotic collaboration between the FBI and more agencies and the locals. Americans depend on that to solve cold cases, to solve horrific crimes. So why not this? For all of the people that are constantly talking about, deservedly so, the needs to protect, for example, minority communities, minority women, women in general, domestic abuse survivors or sufferers, etc., where are their voices now? Because when you zoom back in onto the criminal illegal immigrant behavior, it disproportionately affects all of those people that now, weirdly, everyone is silent about. It's because to them, the enemy will never be a monster murdering a mother in front of her children and their aunt. The monster will always be the commander-in-chief, and that is the most atrocious thing about this.
You know, Lisa, I keep thinking about Aurora, Colorado. Obviously, we heard so much about what the people there have suffered through over the past year or so, right? And this is a direct result of the bad policies of the previous administration. When you couple what happened over the past 4 years, a full open border policy, with the sanctuary city and sanctuary state laws, it's a recipe for disaster. It's why you have so many people now saying these laws have to go. You even have Mayor Eric Adams here in New York City kind of saying, look, I don't agree with sanctuary city laws anymore.
Well, and President Trump was so smart in October of 2024 to go to Aurora, Colorado, and to hold a campaign rally there, drawing attention to the foothold that Trent Aragua had gotten in that city, drawing attention to the fact that buildings are being overtaken by this gang. So he was so smart to do that. And my heart goes out to Secretary Noem and to our ICE agents who are just trying to do the job of ridding this country of terrorists, of gang members, but yet they're attacked. They're the ones doing something wrong. Yet ICE agents, as you pointed out, Emily, facing 1,000% increase of attacks on them. And Colorado is so bad that not only are they a sanctuary state, preventing the information sharing from local officials to federal, but they've punished 2 deputies who shared information with ICE agents. The Attorney General of Colorado sued one.
Doug, go ahead.
Hey, Douglas. How you doing?
All right.
I was giving you a call, sweetheart, because I have a job really close to you in Grayson. It's between 11 and 1, a washer front load. Samson, it says it knocks when it spins.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to pass on that one.
Oh, you can't do it another day?
I would have to pass on the Samsung front loader. They're not going to. That's major. That's uneconomical.
Oh, okay.
When it bangs like that, it's uneconomical.
Oh.
Yeah.
So do the Simpson. Okay. All right. Thank you, honey.
No problem.
Have a good day. Bye.
Run 86013.
Congresswoman, this is massive breaking news. Welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. Congresswoman,
Hello?
just checking in. Can you hear us? Yep.
Benny?
Can you hear us? Yep. Can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry. It was a little bit of a delay there. I can. Yeah, great
All right,
news. Actually, just
fantastic.
gone off the Oversight Committee.
And give us an update here. This it dropped like a massive bombshell. Nobody ever thought we'd see Hillary Clinton being subpoenaed again, and you didn't stop there. What's happening on the Oversight Committee?
Well, look, this came via a subcommittee, and as you know, we're following through on those subpoena requests. So it was actually Democrats. This is a bipartisan vote to actually bring everyone in to testify in regards to their involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. What's been really interesting about this whole thing is that, look, the media has tried to push this like a hot potato. They don't want to talk about the Democrat mega donors and Democrat business owners, also political elites that are involved in this. And so to see Democrats vote for that, and we're sending the subpoenas. So, you know, there were some people that did not want the subpoena to go through. Those were Republican members of Congress. I won't name them yet. But what I will tell you is, you know, ultimately House Oversight's function is to restore faith in government. And that means that we have to look at people across the board. So we're looking forward to seeing what's in these documents.
Okay, so tell me, this is Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton who will be appearing before your committee. Is this correct? They'll be physically appearing, yes?
Correct, unless they try to fight the subpoena. But I don't see the Attorney General giving them an out like Garland gave everyone else an out when they would defy subpoenas in the last administration. So it's not going to just be them that will be called to testify. But, you know, I would not be surprised if we hear a whole lot of pleading the fifth.
So wait a second. What are you planning on asking Hillary Clinton? This is very exciting, Congresswoman.
Well, we just got news today that we're sending the subpoena, so I'm going to obviously be meeting with the staff and working with some of our investigators and attorneys. But look, also too, this comes at the same time that Ghislaine Maxwell also tried to negotiate, you know, immunity for not testifying to Congress, or saying that she would only come to testify after her Supreme Court date, and gave her immunity. So we're going to be having to vote on that, by the way, at the same time. Of which, to be clear, I'm not in favor of giving any sex traffickers immunity, period. But either which way, I think that everyone wants to know, you know, to what extent, to what level was the former president, Bill Clinton, involved with Jeffrey Epstein. You know, President Trump had stated that he flew on Epstein's plane many, many times. And obviously, you know, Epstein was not a good guy. So let's just hope that no other people were harmed.
So hold on. Are you going to be asking simply Epstein questions, or are you going to ask any questions about Hillary Clinton and the Steele dossier and the meetings with Barack Obama and the FBI and the corruption therein to try and rig in a hit job on President Trump?
So the subpoena from Oversight is specifically covering the Jeffrey Epstein. I believe it's House Judiciary that actually has oversight in regards to the Russia collusion, Steele dossier stuff. So they would have to send their own subpoena for that information. But as you know, Benny, as long as the subpoena is there and written, they're only required technically to address the issues that the subpoena cover.
Okay, so all of these subpoenas are for Epstein-related issues and not for Obama, Steele dossier, Russiagate-related issues.
Correct. And that is for now. It doesn't mean that we can't bring more subpoenas. But again, usually the purview of jurisdiction for oversight covers something different than House Judiciary.
So this is a wild thing, Congresswoman, because we have often railed on this program until our voices cracked that Hillary and Bill Clinton have done hundreds of thousands of hours of interviews, some live, some not. Either way, they've never been asked about Epstein once, which I find remarkable.
Well, they're going to have to answer a whole lot of questions, especially because it's literally going out today. Also, too, it's interesting because the Democrats were the ones that also voted for it. So, you know, look, credit to Chairman Comer where it's due. He did receive a lot of pressure from, again, certain members that didn't want to send these subpoenas, but he's doing the right thing in regards to bringing them in to answer questions.
Excellent. So one fascinating name here is Alberto Gonzales and Robert Mueller. He was the director of the FBI, and Alberto Gonzales was the head of the DOJ when Epstein got his true get-out-of-jail-free card. The actual cover-up was in 2005, 2006, 2007, when Epstein was allowed to skate, even though they had him dead to rights. Those are, I think, going to be some very, very powerful and important questions. What do you intend on asking, Congresswoman?
I'm asking them directly who authorized this information to be placed in burn bags, and what information do they have about the former deputy director of the FBI destroying evidence pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein, which we know right now the FBI is actively investigating. So this is not a conspiracy theory. This happened. Actually, it was your show that kind of tipped me off to follow up with one of those whistleblowers, and now that's a full-fledged investigation. So kudos to you, Benny.
So hold on, you're confirming to us that the FBI has destroyed Epstein evidence?
I'm confirming that there's an open investigation and that the leads on your show resulted in them finding burn bags pertaining to Russiagate and potentially Epstein, yes.
Well, this is news to us, and we're excited to hear that. A lot of these things happen, obviously, in a secured environment, but that makes us really happy on this program. So the entire burn bag saga began with our show. Well, that's wonderful to hear.
Correct. It had ties to it for sure.
Okay.
So look, right now, obviously, the American people are rightfully so really frustrated with how, there's been just this lapse of justice within our own government for people that are very elite, very wealthy, very powerful. And I'm just really happy to know that under this administration that people are being held accountable. And I will say this, there's a lot that happens behind the scenes, but the fact is that they are arresting, they're going after these people. And, had Tulsi not come forward with that information in regards to Russiagate, I mean, think about it. Literally, people using their positions of power to violate constitutional rights, civil liberties, go after people, spy. It can't be tolerated in a free and fair society. So thank you for doing what you're doing to cover all this, Benny.
Well, I mean, listen, all we want is the answers. And so, yes, I really hope that you ask former FBI Director Robert Mueller, why did you let Jeffrey Epstein off the hook and say that he was working with the FBI? We have that in the documents, that he was a protected FBI informant, and the FBI recommended that he be let off the hook when they had him dead to rights for the underage sex trafficking of 50 young women. This was in the year 2006. So we really hope that you press old Robert Mueller about that decision, along with Alberto Gonzales, who is the one who forced, we know this as a matter of fact because we've run these leads down. Alberto Gonzales forced the Attorney General, Alex Acosta, to not bring federal charges against Epstein. Why the hell did he do that? Somebody please explain that to me?
We're about to find out.
Yes. Thank you. It's music to our ears. And I just a very quick thought here, Congresswoman, before you go. Do you believe that this is going to be a massive backfire on Democrats for trying to make this the cause celeb? They attempted to smear President Trump with this Epstein issue. Do you believe that this is going to be a massive backfire?
Yeah, and I say that because it was Democrats back in November of 23 that blocked Marsha Blackburn's efforts to get the flight logs. It was Dick Durbin that did that, Democrat senator from Illinois, I believe. So I think that they did not anticipate the transparency, but again, literally one of the most transparent administrations that we've seen so far, and that doesn't even just stop there. I mean, we're getting the MLK, JFK, RFK, all of that. So yeah, I think it's going to backfire. I also think it was interesting that in their own efforts to, want to bring people out, go after the DOJ, which, to be clear, I do believe the DOJ is going to be releasing their own stuff, probably on their own accord. But they did not maybe realize that they were sending the subpoena to Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and everyone else in between. So that was actually a motion brought forward by Scott Perry. Scott Perry was actually viciously gone after during January 6th. So, interesting. It's a bipartisan effort, and they're subpoenaing their top dogs. You have Republicans are saying, wait, should we really be subpoenaing the former president of the United States? And everyone's saying, well, it's pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein, and also the Democrats agree. So it'll be interesting to see them twist themselves into knots on that one.
Fascinating. Do you intend on, point of personal privilege here, Congresswoman, do you intend on asking Bill Clinton why there is a velour oil painting of him in a Monica Lewinsky blue dress sitting seductively inside of the Oval Office, hanging in the entryway of Jeffrey Epstein's $56 million mansion on the Upper East Side?
I'm sorry about that. My toddler's in the background. I'm pretty
Family
much
show.
last.
Family show.
Yeah, I'm last in the speaking order just based on seniority, but I'm sure someone's going to be asking that question. They'll probably be fighting for that question.
Oh, okay. Well, we know you're on the phone, but we have the photo up right now, and it's as creepy today as the first time I saw it years ago. And Bill Clinton's never had to answer for this. I'm sure there's something more that he knows. Did he pose for this painting? I'm not sure. But you'll have him before your committee. Do you think that he'll claim executive privilege? Will he claim that I guess he can't because he wasn't president. He has no executive privilege because he.
I mean, I really am going to be surprised if he shows up. I think they're going to fight tooth and nail with the subpoena. I really do, and I think that we're probably going to have to go for. I would really doubt that he's going to come in at the first request. So let's see how this plays out. But pertaining to that oil painting, super creepy. There was a lot of super creepy stuff that Jeffrey Epstein had. I know that Project Veritas had kind of covered that on some of the stuff and photos that they found in his place in Long Island.
You have a message.
Yeah. Charged. I think that there needs to be multiple people charged on this. But one of the issues that we had of getting Ghislaine Maxwell even in to testify on this is that she's wanting to be.
Mr. Doug.
Hey man, what's your freezer setting on?
Says 3.
Positive 3?
Yeah, positive 3 and fridge 34. Literally do that same little button.
When you open the door, it stops.
Yes, sir.
All right. It seemed like your heater went out. You're warm enough. You shouldn't be hearing that noise. What city you in? Again?
Milner. Remember, I'm on that farm in the middle of nowhere. Every long gravel driveway we talked about the farm.
What town is that? I'm trying to get my bearings. Where you at?
Milner, Georgia. Past McDonough, past Jackson, a little bit south.
Okay. Seems like you need a heater. It seems like your heater's not coming on anymore. You're gonna need a heater. Because that positive. Go ahead.
We replaced that whole thing in the back before. It's making that same noise that
we already put a heater in there.
Yeah, I guess that's what it was. Like big old, I don't know what you call it, but yeah, we took all the drawers out, put a whole new little fan system in the back.
It's not a fan. You know how the heater that's in an electric oven that turns orange? You have one of those in your refrigerator. It wasn't looking like one of those elements. You know, a heating element. I can't remember. That's what I'm positive 3. You shouldn't have that problem. It strongly indicates that the heater is not coming on. And the heater is an element just like in an oven. It glows orange and begins to melt the ice.
Okay.
You said I changed the fan.
Well, yeah, like a big, an entire, I can't remember, man. It came in a bit.
That big white thing. Yeah. I remember now. You're on that gravel road. Let me do some research because the heaters that I got is probably not the heater for that model. Let me get back with you before the end of the day and let's see what we're gonna do. But right now, I would unplug it for the rest of the day. Open the door. Open the freezer door. Or you could put a hairdryer in there, but don't point it directly at it. Just kind of let the heat from the hairdryer get in there, unplug it, and let it melt.
Okay.
And give me some feedback. But it sounds like the heater has went out. I remember now, you got an evaporator assembly with a fan. This time the heater is against the wall back there that turns on to melt the ice. And at positive 3, it shouldn't be making that noise.
I got you. All right, put that heater in the freezer part, right?
In the freezer part. Unplug it, drop your hair dryer down there, and let some heat get in there for at least rest of the day.
Okay. All right, yeah, we'll move all this stuff out. All right, man. Appreciate you, brother.
No
Hope you're doing good.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, bye.
being basically given, you know, a pardon for her crimes. And the fact is that she trafficked people and she wants some immunity, and she won't testify unless we give it to her. So imagine being replaced with that. Do you want information, or, you know, you're going to basically be given immunity for all this? It's a hard decision to make, but I've always stood straight in my convictions that if you're engaging in trafficking, you shouldn't be given a pass.
Yes, she's no hero in this story, and she shouldn't be treated like one. She's a villain in this story. She has a lot of useful information, but she's a villain in this story. She's not a hero.
Correct.
Yes.
And she was, as a result of her decision, she really hurt a lot of young women, and, you know, will have to deal with that for the rest of their lives. So it's obviously going to be an interesting September surprise. So
yes.
I'm here for it. I know you guys will be, and I look forward to coming back on.
Yes, some of these subpoenas start in August, at the very tail end of August. This is going to be fascinating. Very quickly, what happens if somebody fights these subpoenas? What happens if they just don't show up? What's the recourse that Congress has?
There's contempt charges, which we can vote on, and then the DOJ can prosecute, which I'm sure Pam Bondi would love to prosecute some of these people. So there's that. And then there's also the inherent contempt charge, which, remember, I brought against Garland, and I doubt anyone would have the backbone to try to stand up to a subpoena, try and get information on Jeffrey Epstein. So I will happily file those inherent contempt charges if we don't see any movement from the DOJ.
Well, this is exactly what it's. I love the fact that we can hear your beautiful family in the background. This is what standing up for families actually looks like. And this is what protecting children actually looks like, is getting to the answers here and making sure that those who were at the very, perhaps just accomplices or sat back and watched, as Cindy McCain says. We all knew what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. No one would go after him. That's what she said. And so it'd be very interesting to ask some of these top law enforcement officials, what did they know and why did they let him go? Because they did something. Alberto Gonzales and Robert Mueller let him go.
Why?
They let him go, right? They're the guys who did it.
It's going to be interesting to see where this all leads. And what I will tell you, Benny, is that until we really see the files, it's for the most part speculation. But that's exactly why I think transparency is needed, and I look forward to seeing what comes out of it.
Yep. Final note here, just because we.
Y'all, Miss Jaguar Wright has officially entered the chat on the bone-chilling death of Malcolm Jamal Warner. And if what she's saying is even half true, this isn't just a tragedy. It could be a cover-up. According to Jaguar, Malcolm wasn't just spiraling before he passed. He was running, literally sprinting from something or someone. And now, after weeks of whispers, the U.S. authorities are finally stepping in. The police have reportedly launched a formal investigation into the circumstances surrounding Malcolm's final days. And y'all, what they're uncovering is starting to line up with everything that Jaguar warned us about. Why was Malcolm so paranoid, and what was he scared of, and how deep does this really go? Because if Jaguar Wright is correct, this wasn't just random. This wasn't sudden. This was a warning. We all missed it. Let's get into it. Okay, so Jaguar Wright is now saying that Malcolm Jamal Warner didn't just jet off to Costa Rica for a peaceful getaway like the headlines want us to believe. According to her, Malcolm Jamal Warner wasn't on vacation. He was on the run. She claims he knew someone was coming for him, and he was so scared for his life, like genuinely afraid something bad was about to happen. And here's where things started to feel real suspicious. There's this creepy video of Malcolm just hours before he died, walking alone on a dark beach. At first glance, it looked normal, but then when you really watch it, he doesn't look calm. He doesn't look relaxed. It looks off. He looks like something was weighing heavy on him, and his energy was tense, like he was watching his back, and people are now saying it felt like he knew something we didn't.
Now we finally have an update on the drowning death of Malcolm Jamal Warner. Now, according to ABC7, they stated that Malcolm Jamal Warner had drowned while he was on vacation in Costa Rica. Now, the article goes on to say that Warner had drowned off the coast of Costa Rica on Sunday. So this actually occurred on Sunday. They stated that the Costa Rican National Police had told this to ABC News.
So now the question is, who was he running from? And why hasn't this been all over the news? Because if Jaguar's telling the truth, and let's be honest, she's been right before, then this wasn't just a tragic accident. Something was going on behind the scenes, and Malcolm might have been trying to send us a message before it was too late. But according to Jaguar, the reason Malcolm looked so shaken in that video was because he had allegedly just gotten threatened again, this time by some extremely powerful people he was planning to expose. She says the moment on that beach wasn't just some random late night walk. It was right after he got hit with another warning, and that's why he looked so tense, like he was wrestling with something. But here's the wild part. When that video first dropped, people already had questions. It just didn't sit right. It didn't look like himself, but some folks even started speculating that maybe he was under the influence of something, like hinting at drugs or some other substance, just trying to make sense of why he seemed so off. But here's where everything takes a sharp turn. When the autopsy results came back, they showed that there were no substances in Malcolm's system at all. So all those speculations about him possibly being high were wrong. But once you take that off the table, it forces you to look at the beach video with fresher eyes, because if Malcolm was completely sober, then what had him looking so anxious? Now, Jaguar Wright's claims hit way harder, and if he really was getting threatened by powerful people, and if he knew he was in danger, then that video wasn't random. It could have been the moment he realized just how serious things had gotten, and honestly, that kind of changes things. And according to Jaguar, the story about him drowning doesn't really add up, because allegedly, that's not how it went down. Y'all, his body was found in the water, but Jaguar says Malcolm was already gone long before he even hit the ocean, which could explain why he didn't even try to fight the current or escape the riptide. And that part has fans seriously questioning the official narrative, because let's not forget, Malcolm was an experienced swimmer. He knew exactly how to handle a riptide, and this wasn't just some random tourist who panicked in the water. And if he didn't fight it, maybe it's because he couldn't. Or worse, maybe he never had the chance. So who exactly was Malcolm running from? Why were they after him? And the real question is, how did they manage to make it all disappear like nothing ever happened? Well, according to Jaguar, Malcolm became a target the moment he stopped playing the game. She claims he refused to shrink himself just to make Hollywood comfortable. And if you know anything about how this industry moves, then that's where things can get dangerous. Well, Jaguar says Malcolm wasn't willing to be the quiet, compliant, safe version of a black man that Hollywood likes to keep around. He was vocal. He was calling out hypocrisy, and apparently he was planning to expose some things that could have ratted a lot of cages. And if you've been paying attention, you already know that there's been a long-standing talk about Hollywood trying to silence, demonize, or completely break down outspoken black men. And when they stop cooperating, or worse, start speaking out, that's when the real trouble starts. I mean, y'all remember what happened with Dave Chappelle back in 2005, right? When he allegedly dipped and flew out to Africa after walking away from that $50 million Comedy Central deal? The media went into overdrive. Tabloids were painting him as unstable, pushing wild theories that he was on drugs or having some type of mental breakdown. But when Dave came back and sat down with Oprah, he cleared it up. He said it wasn't about the money, it was about the conditions attached to it, the pressure, the control, the way they tried to box him in. He made it clear he wasn't willing to sell out to let the industry turn him into something he wasn't.
Everybody wants to know, why'd you walk away from $50 million?
Well, I wasn't walking away from the money.
Yeah.
I was walking away from the circumstances that were coming with the newfound plateau.
Yeah.
It takes a while when you punch through to adjust to the atmosphere.
And Dave said one of the main reasons he turned down that Comedy Central deal was that he started noticing a pattern and didn't sit right with him. He talks about how entertainers go through something dark right before they reach that next level of fame, and he made it clear that the same machine that lifts you up will tear you apart the second you stop playing along. So instead of letting them reshape him, he dipped. He chose peace over power.
I've been in show business since I was 14, and I've heard the stories of what happens, and I've seen these kinds of things play out in front of me.
Okay. When you say you heard the stories, what do you mean? What stories?
I mean, you see before, look, Mariah Carey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Martin Lawrence punches through and he's waving a gun on the street screaming, "They're trying to kill me."
Yeah, we hear those stories.
And it always happens around the time of their career where Seems as though they're crossing over the next plateau.
Yeah. When Oprah asked Dave to clarify what exactly made him walk away, he didn't hold back. He said he was being pushed to create sketches that felt socially irresponsible, like they were laughing at him, not with him. But it wasn't just that. They weren't harmless jokes. He could feel that the goal was to make people laugh at black men, not with them. And once he realized that, he couldn't ignore it. Well, Dave said it felt like he was being used to humiliate his own people for the sake of a punchline, and that was his breaking point. And if we bring that back to Malcolm's situation, the parallels are starting to feel way too real.
Sounds like somebody's trying to put young Dave in a compromising position.
Dave nearly lost everything for speaking up. His career was basically on life support for years after that. But somehow he pulled through and made a comeback. Malcolm, though, according to Jaguar, he wasn't as lucky, because she says he was going down that same path, except this time he was calling out some seriously dangerous stuff. Take the Drake and Kendrick beef, for example. While the whole hip-hop scene was choosing sides, Malcolm stepped back and called it what it was. He didn't play into the drama. Instead, he pointed out how there were powerful people behind the scenes trying to tear down two of the most influential black men in the game. And according to Jaguar, those people didn't like that one bit. Malcolm wasn't just ruffling feathers, he was exposing something that didn't want the world to see. And that might have been the moment he became a real threat. But according to Jaguar, that made everything feel even more suspicious where Malcolm's final podcast interviews, because once again, he wasn't holding back. He flat out called out the powerful people behind the scenes, the ones he said were treating black men like puppets and pulling strings for their own gain. In one of those clips, Malcolm broke down how the media constantly strips black men of their humanity. He talked about how they're boxed in, labeled, and pushed to the edge for just existing. But what really caught people off guard was when he hinted that he was about to expose everything. No vague metaphors. He was speaking with urgency, like a man who knew the clock was ticking. And now looking back, a lot of folks are wondering if that was his warning, if he knew he had pissed off the wrong people and this time was almost up. This is what he said.
Black community is not a monolith. There's so many levels and lanes to the black community, and we wanted to have a space where we could acknowledge, discuss all of those lanes, because they're so varied in terms of our perspectives and our opinions and our ways of life, and we wanted to be able to have a place where we can talk about all of those things, discuss all of those things, and shed light on the not all hood aspects of who we are.
Now, as wild as Jaguar's claims sound, a lot of fans are starting to feel the exact same way, because when you really sit down and think about everything, there's just too much that doesn't add up. The timeline's messy, the details keep shifting, and for a case that was supposed to be straightforward, it starts to fall apart the moment you look at it more than 5 seconds. For example, at first, officials claimed that Malcolm got pulled into the riptide while trying to save his daughter. A spokesperson from the Judicial Investigation Agency said, "It appears that at one point Mr. Warner was playing with his daughter at the shoreline. He later left her out of the water and supposedly entered the sea along with a friend. It was at that moment that the current pulled them in. The friend managed to get out, but unfortunately Warner did not." But that version of the story started raising red flags fast. The chief of the tourist police of the Atlantic region came out with a completely different story. He claimed that Malcolm's family, including his daughter, weren't even at the beach when the drowning happened. According to him, they interviewed Malcolm's family, but they also weren't there at the time of the accident. So now we've got two conflicting reports from official sources and no clear way to tell which one's actually the truth. What's even weirder is that Judicial Investigation Agency is doubling down on their original story. According to the Daily Mail, when they reached out for clarification, the agency didn't backtrack. Instead, they reissued their previous statement that Warner's daughter was on the shoreline. There are claims that one surfer dived in to help and use his board to bring Warner's daughter to safety, and volunteer lifeguard pulled Warner and another surfer to shore. It's like every single person who claims they were there has a completely different version of what happened, and at some point you really have to ask, who's actually telling the truth? Or is anybody even telling the truth at all? Well, according to Jaguar Wright, even the U.S. government isn't fully buying the official story, and that's why they're allegedly launching their own investigation into Malcolm's death. Now keep in mind, this is all happening outside the U.S. and technically out of their jurisdiction, but Malcolm was still a U.S. citizen, and if there's even a whip for foul play, you already know folks don't want to play with Uncle Sam. Plus, this wouldn't be the first time the U.S. government stepped in after a suspicious death overseas. Y'all remember that heartbreaking case of Shanquella Robinson back in 2022? She tragically lost her life while on a trip in Cabo, Mexico. And even though the Mexican authorities had already launched their own investigation, the U.S. still stepped in and conducted a separate one because of the circumstances were just too shady to ignore. So if history is anything to go by, Malcolm's case might be getting a lot of more attention behind the scenes than we've been led to believe. And according to Jaguar, that's exactly what's about to happen. She claims the feds are already digging into what really went down with Malcolm, and if that's true, Hollywood might be in for a serious shakeup. Because if investigators trace this back to the people who were allegedly threatening him, and if it turns out his death wasn't just some tragic accident, y'all, the entire industry could be forced to answer for a whole lot of things that they've been sweeping under the rug. So if Jaguar's right and the feds are really stepping in, then this might be bigger than anybody thought. Malcolm Jamal Warner wasn't just trying to escape the spotlight, he might have been trying to stay alive. And now with the U.S. government reportedly launching its own investigation, we're not just talking about a tragic death anymore. We're talking about powerful people possibly getting exposed, secrets unraveling, and a story that could send serious shockwaves through Hollywood. Because if the truth actually sees the light of day, it's game over for whoever has been hiding in the dark.
I'm gonna borrow your purse.
Lot. The suspect, a 25-year-old man named James Whitney, was asleep in the vehicle.
Yeah, his dick's out. That's a pilot. I'm gonna go to in the middle. Polish, what's going on today? What's going on? Hold on, just keep the car off, please. It's okay. What's going on today? Where are your pants?
Sorry, I just...
Excuse me, ma'am. Your tallywhacker's out.
I got him. Can I grab my...
Could you what?
Get my panties on before...
Sure, go ahead. No guns in the car?
No.
Okay. All right, real quick. Just don't answer that for now, okay, please. Yeah. Do you have your driver's license on you?
Yes, give me 1 second.
Yeah. And then is this your car?
No, I'm homeless. I just literally found the place to sleep in.
Okay, do you have your driver's license?
No, put your gloves on, son. Nigga just play with his dick.
You don't think you got it on you?
I usually sleep in here. They usually know me here, but I just rarely.
I've never seen you before. That's why I'm.
Yeah, I'm usually in here, but I'm homeless right now.
Okay, do you have anything with your name on it?
You're homeless. You're driving a Range Rover.
Can I give you something? I don't have nothing right now.
Okay, hold on.
Give you like something like, can I like give you my actual name?
Yeah, sure. I'll take your name and everything.
Justice.
Justice.
You're under arrest for having the most hideous wig I've ever seen on a human.
Is this your car?
No, I'm homeless. I literally just came back here.
I get that you're homeless, but whose car is it?
I don't know. I just came back here and laid down.
You don't know whose car this is?
No.
No? So you found this car, it was unlocked, you laid down in it? Okay. Is that a
She means you don't know whose car it is because it's stolen.
serious story?
That's a serious story? There are cameras here, so I want to give you another chance to.
Yeah, you can ask. I hopped in. Darcy, I usually do this. I'm homeless right now.
But are you usually in this? Are you usually in this car?
No.
No. Okay.
You can't call them and ask them. I'm always here.
Here. The first thing I'll have you do is, go ahead and step out for me for now. And then you can have a seat in front of your car. Okay. Sure, here on the curb works.
Yes, sir.
You gonna have a seat, or are you gonna stand?
I can stand up.
So they dispatch on 2 with the van. Sam, Adam, Lincoln, Victor, Robert, 2, Boyd, George, 8, George, Henry, 084803.
You have no idea whose car this is?
No, I literally just came back here. I always come back here and I just sit here and smoke or whatever. And then I just came back here and I opened it. I'm like, I was trying to just for a little bit.
And you're saying you don't have the keys to this car?
No.
You do not have the keys?
No.
No? Sure.
You tried to start it the moment we woke you.
No, I literally.
You reached directly for the start button. Don't play.
No, I did not.
I watched your finger go for the start button.
I reached for the start button. I don't. You can literally ask these people.
Go ahead.
Ask those people if you tried to start the car when they came up?
I literally tell you, I stay here. I'm home here. I really stay around the building. They always helping me out. You can ask them. We can go and ask them together. They know me. I'm literally just sitting here. I'm homeless.
Yeah,
I'm gonna borrow your purse.
Oh, that was a good one.
We gotta watch that from the other angle.
We sure do, Pro Crime Cam. You do the replay so I don't have to.
Boom. Put your hands on your back now. Hands on your back. Stop resisting.
She's a big dude. They got their hands full.
Get on the ground. Please stop. You're going to get chased again. Stop. You're going to get it again. Just do it again. Get on the... Put your hands on your back now. Put your hands on your back. Put your hands on your back.
That was great. The exact same face plant, 2 different tasings.
What is wrong with you? Put your hands on your back. What are you doing?
I'm doing nothing.
Put your hands behind your back.
Put your hand behind your back.
I am.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
This one, look at it.
Which one?
Really?
Taser pros everywhere. I love it.
You're gonna start getting kneed. Put your hands on your back.
Please don't need me. Please don't need me. Okay, I am.
No, you're not.
I am. No, I'm seriously am. Watch this. Watch. I'm gonna put it down my back. I'm with you. Stop. Look, sir. Look. I'm sorry.
Wait, time out. I hear the ice cream truck.
Taser deployed. We're still trying to get her tough. She's dead.
You're gonna knee it to the face.
No.
Yeah, you are.
If you need me to the face, it's on camera.
Yeah, it is.
Don't need me. I'm telling. If you need me in the face, it's on camera. If you kick me in the face, I'm telling. Keep going.
Mine. I don't know, fell out or something. Hands over there. You want me to run to it?
Here, no, I'm finna give y'all my hand. Here.
Well, stop spinning and do it.
Here. It's right here, start. Look, so you can tell, so you can show him.
Her hands behind.
Look, I might be. Look, it's behind him.
Her hands behind.
I'm telling him.
Like,
I'm not fighting it. No, look, it's already.
keep your elbow turned when I turn it.
I'm trying to. You hurting me. You hurting me.
Here. No. You can lie the fuck right there for a minute. Let me grab my taser. I'm not getting shit for you right now. You're definitely not getting a phone. Do you need medical?
Fight with the cops, resist, end up having to get tased twice, and now you demand they do stuff for you? Seriously?
Because you're not getting your phone, that's for sure. I need you medical. Right. Yeah. You good, Rich? Yeah, I'm good.
You got my phone right there. I need medical.
What do you need medical for? Tased twice.
Somewhere.
Tased twice. Hit me in the face with a purse. Are you female?
No, I need.
How old are you? Where are you?
25. I'm
So you
down.
got hit in the face with a purse. Yeah. Oh, you can't see it? Yeah. Tased twice.
Besides the tasing, ma'am, do you have any injuries?
No. You're strong as shit, you know that? You're not that slow of a run. Range Rover.
Hello.
Good morning. Is this Eileen?
It is.
Eileen, this is Doug with Post calling about your Samsung refrigerator.
Yes, sir.
The customer before you just so happens to be less than 5 miles away, and I was trying to see if I can just come on over.
Sure. I just need to put some clothes on.
Okay. Well, I'm going to head on over. I should be like 3 minutes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.